The unexpected wedding guest. The late afternoon sun filtered through the tall windows of the historic chapel, casting golden streaks across the polished wooden pews. Sarah adjusted her navy blue dress for the third time and glanced around at the gathering crowd. Everywhere she looked, couples were finding their seats together, families were clustering in animated conversation, and old friends were embracing with warm laughter. She had arrived early, hoping to blend into the crowd before anyone noticed she was alone. The wedding invitation had been addressed to Sarah Mitchell and guest, but there was no guest. There hadn't been anyone to bring for quite some time now. The bride, Emma, had been her college roommate. They had kept in touch over the years through social media and the occasional coffee date, but their lives had taken different paths. Emma had found her soulmate in graduate school, built a thriving career, and was now surrounded by a tight-knit group of friends and family. Sarah, meanwhile, had thrown herself into her work as a librarian, finding comfort in the quiet predictability of books and research. As the chapel filled with guests, Sarah chose a seat near the back, on the bride's side. She smoothed her skirt and placed her small purse on the empty space beside her, hoping it might discourage anyone from asking about her missing companion. The gesture felt hollow, but it was better than the alternative of explaining her situation to well-meaning strangers. The organ began playing soft preludes, and the chatter in the chapel gradually quieted. Sarah watched as Emma's family members were escorted to their seats in the front rows. The mother of the bride looked radiant in her silver dress, dabbing at her eyes with a delicate handkerchief. The father stood tall and proud, adjusting his boutonniere with nervous energy. Sarah felt a familiar tightness in her chest. She was genuinely happy for Emma, but being surrounded by so much love and partnership made her own solitude feel more pronounced. She had almost decided not to come, but Emma had called personally to make sure she would be there. "It wouldn't be the same without you," Emma had said, and Sarah couldn't disappoint her old friend. The music shifted to signal the beginning of the processional. Everyone stood, turning toward the back of the chapel. Sarah rose with them, but as she did, she noticed the whispers starting around her. A woman in the pew in front of her glanced back with a curious smile, clearly wondering about Sarah's missing date. An elderly man across the aisle gave her a sympathetic look that made her cheeks burn with embarrassment. Just as the bridesmaids began their graceful walk down the aisle, Sarah felt a presence beside her. She turned slightly and saw a man in a charcoal gray suit sliding into the pew next to her, moving her purse aside with gentle courtesy. He was tall with kind brown eyes and slightly tousled dark hair that suggested he had been hurrying. He looked to be about her age, perhaps in his early 30s, with an easy smile and the sort of face that seemed naturally trustworthy. As he settled beside her, he leaned in close enough that she could catch a hint of his cologne, something clean and understated. His voice was barely above a whisper, but she heard every word clearly. "Pretend you're with me," he said softly, his eyes focused straight ahead on the ceremony. "I can see you're getting some looks, and I hate seeing someone feel uncomfortable at such a beautiful event." Sarah's heart skipped, but not from embarrassment this time. She glanced at him from the corner of her eye, studying his profile. There was something genuine about his expression, no hint of pity or ulterior motive. Just simple kindness from a stranger who had noticed her discomfort and wanted to help. She gave him an almost imperceptible nod and turned her attention back to the ceremony. As Emma appeared at the back of the chapel in her flowing white gown, Sarah felt some of the tension leave her shoulders. The stranger beside her maintained a respectful distance, but his presence was reassuring. When people glanced their way now, they saw what appeared to be a couple enjoying the wedding together. During the exchange of vows, Sarah found herself genuinely moved by the words Emma and her fiancé, David, had written for each other. They spoke of friendship that had grown into love, of supporting each other's dreams, and of choosing each other every day. As Emma's voice broke slightly while promising to love David, through all of life's unexpected moments, Sarah felt tears prick at her own eyes. The stranger beside her quietly offered her a tissue from his jacket pocket, and she accepted it with a grateful smile. Their eyes met briefly, and she saw warmth and understanding there that made her feel less alone than she had in months. When the ceremony concluded and the recessional began, the guests started to file out for the cocktail hour. As they waited for their pew to empty, the stranger turned to her with that same gentle smile. "I'm Michael," he said, extending his hand. "Sarah," she replied, shaking it. His handshake was firm and warm. "Are you a friend of the bride or groom?" he asked as they joined the slow procession toward the chapel doors. "College roommate of the bride. What about you?" "David's cousin from Chicago. I flew in this morning." He paused, then added with a slightly sheepish expression, "Actually, my date canceled last night. Flight got canceled due to weather, and she couldn't reschedule." Sarah felt a laugh bubble up, the first genuine one she'd had all day. "So we were both flying solo. Seemed like we could help each other out," Michael said with a grin. "Plus, my grandmother always taught me to look out for people who might be feeling left out. She said it was the mark of good character." As they stepped outside into the warm evening air, Sarah felt a lightness she hadn't experienced in a long time. The cocktail hour was being held in the chapel's garden, with string lights beginning to twinkle as the sun set behind the trees. "Would you like to continue this arrangement for the reception?" Michael asked, gesturing toward the garden where guests were already gathering around high-top tables with glasses of champagne. "I promise I'm reasonably good company, and I won't step on your feet if there's dancing." Sarah looked at this kind stranger who had appeared exactly when she needed him most. There was no pressure in his invitation, just an offer of companionship that felt natural and right. "I'd like that very much," she said. As they walked toward the garden together, Sarah realized that sometimes the most beautiful moments came from the most unexpected places. She had come to the wedding feeling invisible and alone, but Michael had seen her and chosen to extend kindness without expecting anything in return. The evening ahead suddenly felt full of possibility, and for the first time in a long while, Sarah was genuinely excited to see what would happen next.